mis amigos del mundo digital. My friends from the digital world.
Sakura, Sakura, Yayoi no Sorawa. Watanil Kuwait Salim Talil Majdi, Tadada Wala Jabinakatali Osadi, Tadada Watanil Kuwait, Watanil Kuwait, Watanil Kuwait Salim Talil Majdi, Tadada. Hier au soir sur le trottoir, j'ai vu un pauvre pitou. La cœur coupé, les oreilles arrachées, à tout fois, mon pitou.
My dear friend from the digital world, today I have a special guest that I've been following on Instagram. As you all know, that I'm sending invitation just to talk for a little with me, and some people accept and some people don't. So I'm very grateful, Kate, that you accept my invitation. So I'm very happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here, Carlos. Thank you.
And the first topic to talk about, who is Kate? What do you do? And a brief intro about you.
Yeah, so I am a business English coach. I live in Germany, but I'm from Canada. And what I do here in my town is that I go into different international companies and I teach English in their conference rooms. So about 4 years ago, it started to occur to me that, I teach for a company that makes big tools and that makes little tools, and a company that works in fashion and a company that works in medicine, and they're all asking the same question. So for me, the question was, how can I make these answers universal? And this is something that I then create on both my Instagram page. I answer these questions on my Instagram page, and also in our business English course. We have a full course with all of the stuff that goes with that. So it's questions about writing and talking on the phone, things like that.
So you have an academy there in Germany.
Yes.
The people go to your place and to have normal, regular classes of English. Focuses in English, in business English.
Not actually. I don't have a location where people come to me. I typically go to their companies and I teach in their conference rooms.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The second topic I usually ask to my guests, memories about your education, maybe high school, university, college, something remarkable that happened in your learning process.
So I thought of something a little younger than high school or college or university. But in elementary school, I actually went to school in Japan. And I lived in Tokyo for 3 years from grade 4, 5, and 6.
That's great.
And that school, actually, at that time, it was the third best international school in the world.
Wow.
It's called American School in Japan. I don't know where it falls now, but at that time it was third in the world. And I'll tell you why. So they had an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school, 3 different schools. Each of them had their own football field. Wow. So these giant fields, most normal Canadian schools can't even have one football field, but the elementary school had one, the middle school had one, the high school had one. And they had their own playgrounds, and I think there was one swimming pool for all of it. There was a movie theater, and there was also something called a vivarium, which people don't often hear of. You've heard of an aquarium. An aquarium is a glass case that holds fish with water, is aquarium. Same thing as vivarium is like that, but for life. The Latin word vivre, that's also French. Vivre is Latin. It's for life. So they have lizards, they have dogs, they have butterflies, they have cats and bunnies and gerbils and hamsters. And they had this big room with just tons of cages along the side where you could go in and you could play with the animals. And I was for all 4 years, I was part of the vivarium club, which goes in every single day, and we would feed the animals in our own schedule. So being in the club, I had a certain time where I would go play with the dogs, take the dog for a walk, feed the gerbils, clean this cage, take care of these animals.
What
And
interesting.
that was one of my extracurricular activities as an elementary school student, which is pretty crazy.
I wonder why in Japan, because your parents were there?
Yes, my parents were posted to Tokyo for my dad's job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so my dad was, up until about 2 months ago, my dad was in the Canadian Foreign Service, which is the diplomats.
Yeah, right.
Yes, now he's retired, he's happy, he's at
So-
home with my mom every day.
You had to travel where your father goes.
That's correct.
So you have the chance to visit in different countries. Well, that's another question.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to that question.
Yeah. Your career as a teacher, how and when did you discover that you are going to be teacher and English teacher?
So I actually started, it's a very random story, but I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher.
Wow.
I didn't want to be an English teacher. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. And at that time, in the early 2000s, my mother noticed, sometimes we need lots of teachers, and then sometimes there's too many teachers and not enough jobs in Canada.
Yeah, right.
Well, my mom said, this is a big problem. It's up and down and up and down. She said, get a degree first and then go to teacher's college if you want this.
Yeah.
So it was great advice. I went and got my communications degree from the university,
Yeah.
and then I wanted to travel.
Yeah.
And usually to get into a teacher's college, it's also great if you're teaching abroad. So I decided to go to Korea to teach English. And my plan was to go for 2 years. And then at the second year, I said, I'm not finished yet. And just into the third year, I met a very nice German man who 1 year later said, move to Germany with me, become my wife and the mother of my children. So now he's my husband and we have 2 kids and we live here in Germany.
Very nice story.
And I'm here and I'm teaching business English in companies. So I'm not teaching at a kindergarten and that's okay.
But you have your own kindergarten right at home.
Oh yes, exactly. I think now I don't think I could do it with so many children. I go to my office and I have coffee with my clients and we talk about politics. And then I come home and I sit on the floor and I play with my babies. But I wouldn't want to be kids at kindergarten and kids at home.
Yeah.
There's too many kids. So I'm happy with this balance with business English for the day and then my children in the afternoon.
Well, you have already told me about your work experiences. So you've been working as a teacher in different countries.
Mm-hmm. I started in Korea. I taught there for 3.5 years. I taught as an elementary school teacher for City Hall. And I would go around to libraries and I would read to children, or I had groups for adults and groups for children as well, little 4-year-old babies.
So you've been teaching the whole range of ages.
Yeah, almost everyone. And then for my last 1.5 years, I taught at a very big girls' high school. It's the best girls' high school in our province. They had 1,600 girls who lived there and slept there and studied there. And I would have stayed there, but I then moved to Germany where I started teaching business English. But like I said, I teach people with big machinery that can pick up this house, or small tools that are the size of my hand. Or I've worked with medical facilities, I should say, and fashion. I've worked with 2 photographers and 1 photographer, 1 artist, and 2 professional sports stars. So, every day is different, but it's still business English.
Well, the next topic, languages. How many languages? Because of these places that you have visited, you've been living, so you speak so many languages.
I have learned 5 languages in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not fluent with all 5 languages now. So when I was, like I said, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I lived in Japan. And I learned Japanese at that time. I was good enough to be able to read the menu or to be able to read the signs to know where I was on a map. yeah, that was basically the level of my Japanese, and then it stopped. And then I left Japan and I came back to Canada. And like I said, I was at the third best international school in the world.
Wow.
And when I moved back to Canada, I was going to a public school. So my parents, because the timing was also perfect, they thought, oh, Kate will go to French school. So I took history and math and everything in French while also learning French. It's called late French immersion. So the goal is that I take everything in French so that I will become bilingual with French as well. By the end of the 2 years, I was bilingual with French. It was pretty good. And then we left that school and I moved to Kuwait. And I had to speak Arabic.
Wait, oh my gosh.
And then I needed Arabic. I didn't need French and I didn't need Japanese. I needed Arabic.
So you had to learn a new language.
So I had to start all over again with Arabic. And at that point, then I was able to, make jokes with my friends, talk to their parents. I had a Kuwaiti boyfriend for 2 years, talk with the taxis and definitely more conversational style Arabic. And then I left Kuwait in 2002, moved home to Canada for university. And then after 4 years of university and 2 years of working at the embassy with my dad, I moved to Korea. And then I needed Korean.
Wow.
So that was Korean. So it's Japanese, French, Arabic, and Korean, and now German.
Well, my next question related to languages and countries that you have visited. Well, you have told me that you have visited the country for studies, following your parents, but for tourism, have you traveled a lot in Europe, maybe in different parts of the world?
Yeah. It's funny. And this is another funny and weird story. I have all sorts of weird stories for you today, Carlos.
No, that's great for me.
So I was, when I was in high school in Kuwait, one of my favorite teachers offered a class to work on the newspaper. So I was working on the newspaper with her, and I remember her saying something like, why are you here in Kuwait? And she said, I want to visit 30 countries before I turn 30 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
And at the time I thought, I've lived in Japan. I've been to the United States and Canada. I live in Kuwait now. I travel all the time. I've definitely already done it. And then I sat down and I counted, and I'd been to 11 countries.
Wow.
It's still pretty good, but I was not 30. And then I realized how impressive that goal really is. And then I think I forgot about it for years. And at some point I was in Korea and I counted again, and I was 24, 25 years old, and I'd been to 24 or 25 countries.
Oh, good.
No, I'd been to 21. So then I went to new country, and then I went to Vietnam and Malaysia, and then I met my boyfriend when I had 24 countries. And this is terrible. So he said, do you want to move to Germany with me? And my first thought is 25. I liked him, obviously, but that was definitely I could check out one more.
Another one on your list.
And then the next, so we moved to Germany, and that was 25. And then we went to Spain, and we went to England, but I'd already been to England. And we went to France, and I'd never been to France. So I had 27. And then I got pregnant. We got married, and I got pregnant with my daughter. And I went to Turkey for our baby moon. I was about 6 months pregnant. That was 28. And then I went to Belgium. I was like 8 months pregnant, went to Belgium with a girlfriend. And then I started getting tired. And I was thinking, oh no, I don't have the energy for this. And then my husband got injured. He broke if this is your foot to the arm or to the leg, he broke the Achilles here, just through. So he had no control of his foot.
Wow.
So he's on crutches. And then I said, listen, my baby is coming in the end of June. I am turning 30 in the middle of June. We have to go somewhere. So we got in the car and we drove to the Czech Republic. I had ice cream and he had an espresso. We walked around, got in the car and drove home. But we did it.
What a great story.
Before I turned 30.
Well, A question, after those 30 countries, what is your best, your more memorable country to go again for tourism?
So I'm kind of one of those people, when I travel to a place, I never think I must come back here.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm always like, no, next, right? Done, next. So
Chile, maybe you're next. South America. What about South America? Have you
There's 3 countries. I've not been to South America at all yet. And it's definitely on my goal list. But there's 3 countries I would happily go back to, and I think that means that they were my favorite. So I would happily go back to Cambodia, Bali or Indonesia, and Jordan.
Right.
Those 3 were absolutely stunning. All
Jordan,
for the same reason.
famous
Petra?
Petra, the famous.
Yes. Petra is stunning.
Yeah.
And
only
just makes you feel so small to look up at these buildings. And it's just amazing. Yeah. So those 3, and I love them all for the same reason. They all have incredibly nice people, fantastic food, and beautiful buildings.
So I usually ask my guests, what do you recommend to a tourist to visit in your country? But you've been in so many countries. Now Germany is maybe your country. So what do you recommend for a tourist to visit in Germany?
You know, it's funny. I've lived in Germany longer than I've lived in Canada, even all combined now. Yeah, up until Germany, the longest I'd lived anywhere was 7 years, and that was from 0 until 7. And then it was like 3 years and 4 years and 3 years and 2 years. So I've been here now 10 years. This is definitely home. What would I recommend in Germany? Really, they have so many wonderful castles. Yeah. So even in my town, there's 2 UNESCO castles here in Würzburg, and they're just stunning. And then you've got Neuschwanstein, which is just a little north of Munich. This is the Cinderella Castle. It's called as the castle that they modeled the Disney Cinderella Castle after. I would say the castles, like if you come to Germany, search out your nearest castle and go to that because they're all just stunning.
I imagine that in the city where you live, there are a lot of rich music, theater, cultural life.
It's wonderful. It's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You see, I have a question. Top hobby or thing that you like to share, but I think your life has been a hobby, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I love travel. Travel inspires me. It makes me, thinking and talking about travel makes me happy. I'm now 38 years old and I've been to 34 countries. Wow. So I've added 4 new ones after my daughter was born, but my daughter's been to 9 countries. And she's been to Hungary twice and Switzerland 3 times, Canada and the States every year. Wow. So we travel a lot, but she's also been to new places and seen new things. And that's absolutely my hobby. I mean, of course, I like yoga, I like reading, I like things that keep me at home. I like dancing with my girlfriends, but travel makes me happy.
How is your relationship with technology and your job as a teacher of English teacher? What do you recommend? What do you suggest? It is important, technology, in the process of learning a foreign language?
Yeah, I think it just makes it so much easier. I mean, there's such a wonderful community when you go online and you seek other learners, for example. I mean, when I started my Instagram page 4 years ago, I remember being amazed that I had 700 followers. I never thought that it would become what it is. So I remember telling my husband, I just hit 700 followers. He's like, hey, good for you. Yeah.
What about the other platform? YouTube, TikTok?
So Instagram is my biggest one.
Are you focused on Instagram?
Yeah. So Instagram is the biggest one. And I'm actually looking to start a podcast, but that would actually be for other entrepreneurial teachers. We also have a whole other business that helps other entrepreneurial teachers to start their businesses as well. because in the last 4 years, we've now released a course. We have team members from all over the world working for us. We have group classes and private one-on-one sessions. We've done challenges and written ebooks. We've done so many wonderful things that truly help people. And then for me, I'm also able to be at home with my kids more often. I'm in complete control of my business. So it's like, for me, technology is absolutely the way forward. And then, so I started this 4 years ago, and then 2 years after that came COVID.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden people are staying at home and they're using their phones to better their own lives and to keep them educated and keep them a little bit on their toes. And now, I mean, I can speak with people in Iran who are friends of mine and going through big protests at the moment, and I can message them and see if they're okay. And I can talk to people in Venezuela. I can talk in the same minute. I can message a friend of mine in Israel and Argentina, and just speak with people all over the world, hear about the protests, or not the protests, but the voting in Brazil, the voting in America, the protests in Iran, all from one place. It's wonderful. It's like traveling.
Communication first. That made me recall that slogan from a YouTuber that I follow. Communication first. I follow a lot of English teachers on YouTube because to be in touch with the languages. As I told you, I'm not English teacher. I'm just a very fond for English. I remember, perhaps you are so young you don't remember radios. I used to listen. This is a BBC World Service, and now our English radio program, something like that. Or in Spanish. Esto es el servicio latinoamericano de la BBC Londres con su programa Inglés por Radio. And also I remember radio from Canada, yes. And in the US, one of my favorite, for English purpose. This is the Voice of America broadcasting in special English. And still I follow those programs on a website, you know. They say they invented a kind of a special English, slow space, small vocabulary, yes, structure, small structure. It was very good for me. Do you have any special app to recommend for language learning?
I mean, there's some really great language learning apps out there, actually. And one of them at the moment, is linked in my bio. It's called Elsa Speak. It's really good. Like there's actually numerous different levels to it. First of all, there's a proficiency test. So if you're wondering what your level is in English, then you can go in and you can test your English right then and there, and then they can make a plan and give you advice on what it is that would help. There's also a pronunciation part of the app. So they'll write out words. So it's great for mimicking or shadowing.
Yeah.
So they write out the words and then you listen to it. You can listen to it over and over again and then record yourself, and it will actually tell you where you make mistakes. So it uses AI technology to listen. So if I say, for example, P when I mean B, that part will be read, so that I know, okay, I need to make the P sound next time, and you try again. And then it like celebrates for you, which is always nice. And then they've also got, like, for myself, you know, I'm a business English coach. They've also got a business English section where they learn certain sentences, learn certain phrases, and a dictionary. So that's 4 things right there from Elsa Speak.
I think AI is improving a lot the process of learning languages.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so it's not perfect and it's not going to replace teachers.
Would help.
However, if somebody's at home and they don't have the opportunity to talk with a person, they can still practice and improve their pronunciation, because I think there's a couple of things you can do at home that improve your learning or your English.
Yeah, that's good. Tips for learning English at home.
Absolutely. We can go over that too. But pronunciation is a tough one because you don't know where you're wrong. And then same thing for writing. Writing is tough because you can write the same way for years and years and never, if you don't have a teacher to correct you and say, okay, this is what you do, then you might never truly improve, right? So at least with Elsa Speak, they have this pronunciation, and it's done then with AI. You might still need an English teacher, but you can focus on your pronunciation. with that app.
Yeah, I think technology, I think there's a lot of differences between my time when I was trying to learn English, only the traditional textbook, some CD, some tape recorder, all this stuff. But now you've got it, everything here on the net.
Yeah. It's really amazing.
Well, to be talking with you right now, and there are a lot of, I follow several Facebook groups for people for languages purpose. And there are so many people with teachers teaching for free, joining people from groups, some groups, just for doing activities to develop the language. So I found that wonderful. Well, you are a teacher, and most of my guests, being a teacher or not a teacher, I ask them to sing a song, and you are a teacher. I think in my level of English, I use a lot of things to sing. I have to sing to teach English through songs. So, do you have one?
Okay. Well, I have a couple.
Sure, absolutely.
I might only remember certain phrases from each of the languages, or from each of the songs. But okay, so the Japanese anthem goes like this.
Yeah, that's
Sakura, sakura, yayoi no sora wa.
Oh.
And then the Kuwaiti anthem is Watanil Kuwait Salim Talil Majdi Tararara Wala Jabinika Taleo Sadi Tararara Watanil Kuwait Watanil Kuwait Watanil Kuwait Salim Talil Majdi Tararara. That's like, there's beats, there's drums.
It sounds like tarantella for me. That's a kind of Italian music.
Watanil Kuwait means free Kuwait. So it's like free, there's a free Kuwait since, yeah. And then I have one French children's song. I have to think about it. Hier au soir sur le trottoir, j'ai vu un pauvre pitou, la cœur coupée, les oreilles arrachées. À tout fois, mon pitou.
I remember that melody that I was teaching the song, oh where has my little dog gone? Is that the same? Oh where can he be? His ears are short and his tail is long. Oh where is he?
It's very, very similar. So it was...
Well, I think the melody, the tune is the same.
It is about a little puppy. It is about a little puppy with an ear and a tail. But it's, the exact wording is, last night I looked out the window and I saw a little puppy. He has a broken ear and a ripped tail or something. And then it's, are you cold, are you cold?
It's the same story. I remember that I learned that song from the British Learning English Kid, something like that.
Perfect. It's like maybe like Frère Jacques, Brother Jacob.
Yeah. Well,
they also have that in German as well.
Yeah.
Bruder Jakob. I forget the rest, but yeah.
I remember I was in the Ashland High School in 1992. There was a student from Holland and she sang that song with the Dutch. What's the language of the Holland?
Sure. Holland is
Dutch. Yeah. I remember she sang that. What interesting. Well, I think it's been wonderful to have you here. I've learned a lot. I appreciate your time. And you're inside. You see, you're a great teacher, you know.
Happy to, Carlos. Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful afternoon. I think it's over there. It's still afternoon for you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Oh, the time is gone.
Oh.
Bye-bye, and thank you so much.
Bye, thank you.
Sakura,
sakura, yayoi no sora wa. Watanil Kuwait Salim Talil Majdi Tararara Wala Jabinika Taleo Sadi Tararara Watanil Kuwait Salim Talil Majdi Tararara. Hier au soir sur le trottoir, j'ai vu un pauvre pitou, la cœur coupée, les oreilles arrachées. À tout fois, mon pitou.
mis amigos del mundo digital. My friends from the digital world. Si le gustó el video, dele un me gusta, compártalo en sus redes sociales y suscríbase a mi canal. De esta forma estará ayudando a Profesor Youtuber Retirado. Muchas gracias por su atención.